municipalities, local municipalities, in trying to assist in reestablishing what they might have had previously, a constabulary or police department, and my trying to help them, along with Captain Small. A lot of what the undersheriff just said is something that we talked about a lot, which is heroin use. So a lot of what we were doing was trying to get the municipalities to reestablish whatever form of department they had previously. And I was offering my services in sort of helping them set up the infrastructure for it and helping them guide them through the reestablishment of their department and seeing and addressing what the communities need through community policing. And when he mentioned that the town of Delhi had a constabulary, I felt that was probably the best fit for me. I wasn't looking for, working for the undersheriff or working for a police department at the time. The constabulary position is more of a community policing sort of very intimate on a lesser workload level. But what I'm hoping to do with that is help the town address whatever needs it may have, and in the event that they would look to expand on what they have infrastructure-wise and have the department grow, that I would be available to assist the growth of the constabulary.
I know the one thing we've been looking at is the student housing and party issue. The village passed laws and started cracking down. Now we're seeing the student housing kind of migrate out into the town to get away from the regs in the village. So we're gonna discuss later, looking at the village law, see if we can modify it and adopt it at the town level. But that would be something where we would like to have it, constable that could respond.
They can address it.
If we couldn't get a sheriff deputy
Correct.
or somebody else there.
Even preemptively so, if you know that this is a chronic situation that's happening, whether it's a party or events or a lot of noise, before it gets to that point, have someone that can go over there, knock on the door and speak to them in a manner that they may, understand it. It's better to, avoid it than have to get in trouble when you're participating in the act.
Yeah, just kind of let them know they're being watched.
Absolutely.
I know Darren's had the issue on Scotch Mountain where they have a party and the road winds up pretty much blocked.
Yep.
So I've gotten complaints off of there. We may have to start towing cars or whatever we have to do, but like I said, we do have, like everything else, things aren't getting better.
No.
So we are looking, I
Hey,
think it'd be a great fit if you could help us out.
Oh, I would love to. I mean, and just going back a bit to what the undersheriff mentioned, I recall one of the lectures that we were giving at a small town, and one of the things that I was addressing the most, because I still keep many significant contacts within the NYPD, and a lot of their cases are actually, make their way up into the suburbs, into the suburban counties, and whether it be the opiates in pill form or heroin, it is a chronic problem that's going. It's being addressed throughout the entire state, and I was pushing this issue that you're very small, you have children. It's the young teenagers that are being affected the most, and to have the ability to address it at one level or another, it's really important. But this particular town was completely opposed to it for one reason or another. So if you have, and this is one of the things that he and I were trying to do, if you have the means, if you have the entity in place, whether it be an actual police department or constabulary, you need this. This is really important here. It's an important tool to have in order to address, or at least to facilitate information to the parents, to educate, in order to try to solve it. Well, I think it's already at the point where it's become an epidemic, so it's a little late, but you still want to be able to tackle it. And if you have it there, it's better to figure out how to further expand on it to address it. And this goes from whether it be noise complaints or the heroin use. That's a big problem.
Can you help me explain or help me understand the difference between constabulary and police department?
I will do my best, and then I will ask Captain Small to expand on it. But the position of a constabulary or an officer within a constabulary is that of a peace officer, and within a police department, that is a police officer. You have two. You have a police officer and you have a peace officer, and it really has to do with the scope of training and the scope of enforcement powers that he or she may have. A police officer has to go through minimum of 650 hours as a cap, roughly about 650 hours. A peace officer, generally, Depending on, as far as minimum is concerned, it's 99 hours. And it expands depending on the level of training he or she may have with firearms use, will go as far as about 160 hours. But then there are other tools that he or she may need to be certified in, and that will require further training. So it's less training for a peace officer, much more training for a police officer.
And a reason that a town chooses to have constabulary is because of resources or the need or the types of crimes that are.
Yeah, I mean, initially, that's pretty much it. You have to evaluate, you have to look at what it is that you are needing to deal with, and you have to, whether or not, it also depends on whether or not you're capable of having a police department or a constabulary, because there are certain, and Captain Small can better address that than I, there are certain regulations, laws and so on that govern that. But yeah, budgets, the type of criminality that's taking place or lack thereof, and you know what it is that you're looking to do, whether it's simple community policing, which I think the constabulary does a lot for that, or it's aggressive law enforcement that you need a large department for, because you have a lot of stuff that's happening that needs to be addressed accordingly.
Okay, I understand, thanks.
Anybody have any more questions for Mark or Jimmy?
So what are we discussing tonight?
Tonight, if we're ready to make a decision, I'd entertain a motion to appoint Mark as a second town constable. I've talked to the state, I've talked to our attorney.
How are we paying for this?
How much do you want?
No,
What
I'm
is your
serious.
hourly rate now for Constable Glass?
Yeah, well, I think we're paying Tom, I think is getting 17, 14 an hour.
At limited hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Mark's not looking for a big.
Minimum wage.
You're looking for the
The title.
title.
Minimum wage, yeah, no, yeah, the title was.
You're
what I-
different than the rest.
What, I'm sorry?
You're different than the rest. Everybody
Yeah.
else wants the money.
I'm in a unique position where, you know, the income is not a necessity. The position and the job and what it entails is more of a benefit to me than the income itself.
Well, I think the income has to be a major part of any negotiations and so forth, and adopting this, so.
So
Yeah,
it's-
I mean,
Yeah.
in theory, it benefits us in a lot of ways.
Oh, it does,
And
but-
you're super qualified, obviously, it's just a matter of what.
I'm saying the law, to make sure that there's a salary in place before
Oh.
any appointment is done.
Oh, I thought you were talking about do we have enough money for it now?
Well, that too, but
But he was
I'm
appointed,
looking in terms of the employment stat, you know, the salary involved.
Yeah, it's, regardless of what the salary is, the insurance looks at it the same way.
Right.
They just wanna know when we appoint him. You know, salary has no bearing on their end of it.
I just wanna see what the costs are gonna be involved as far as the town in taking on another constable.
well, there might not be anything if he wasn't
If we
used.
don't use it,
Yeah.
it'd be done.
If he subbed in for Constable Glass,
Yeah.
that court, he would get 4 hours or whatever, the rest of the stuff, unless you decide to give him expanded duties, he's not getting any money.
Like I said, if we decide
no money.
to go with the student housing law and we wanna, you know, do a little more aggressive monitoring of some of these situations.
I just
then-
wanna
then
be
we'd have to
fiscally
plan on-
responsible
plan
for
on
the town.
budgeting for it.
And any training he would undergo, he's gonna do at his own expense. So there'd be no cost to the
So you
town.
give them a discount, do you?
So, but the big concern which Tom was talking about, and which I agree, is that we don't wanna suddenly be accountable for another employee. Is that what you're
Right.
talking about? Like, where we
In
have to
some
pay
ways, yes.
into, disability and health insurance and all these
Yes.
things, which, so I,
Cost at any cost.
does that make sense? what we're
In also assisting, you know, and this again, it has to be looked at with time as far as how much is needed as, you know, when it comes to compensation or pay. But in working with Captain Small and the village of Delhi and the amount of time that I put in there, there's also part of what I do in offsetting a lot of that cost is creating a charitable contribution to the municipality. Carter Small, my security training school, is in the process of doing that for the village of Delhi because we work together, and the same can be applied for the town. So that charitable contribution to the town would offset a significant portion of that cost.
Yeah, I think the only time cost is gonna be an issue is if we adopt more laws that we don't.
Oh, absolutely, but I just wanna see things in black and white.
Yeah, and that has to be laid out by the town board. You guys supervise the constables. The big difference is the limited authority a peace officer or constable has. It's dictated by you guys. So if you only want them doing court security, that's all they're allowed to do. He has no other authority other than working for the court and doing that. If you decide you want them checking on party houses or noise complaints or whatever the new town law would be, that's up to you guys. And somebody on the town board has to be technically the public safety commissioner and overseeing the constabulary.
Well, I'm all in favor of having somebody that's up to date and could step in if Constable Glass had a vacation time or sick time or whatever and could perform his duties. You know, I'm all in favor of that. I just, as far as the numbers, I just wanna make sure that we're able to support you financially.
Minimum wage.
I understand.
I just want to, in the event that he doesn't, he's not capable of showing up, it would be at a lesser charge.
Minimum wage is $15 when?
No, I don't.
That's only at McDonald's.
That's only at McDonald's and Burger King
Yeah, I
and
know.
some other establishment.
I understand that, yes.
Well, is there any, can we, I don't know if this is even what they're looking for, but what if he was, if we approve this based on just the fact that he's a sub at this point for Tom?
Yeah, we could do
I
that.
think that's about all we really can do
Yeah,
tonight.
Yeah.
we can, then like I said, if we pass other laws
Does
that
that-
we need enforcement.
No, that makes
on,
sense.
Yeah, we could just
That makes sense.
appoint him as a substitute for Tom for now, and
Absolutely.
then when we get new regs that we want enforced, then we can change
It's
the
a starting
duties.
point,
Does that achieve what
your goal.
you need?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's more.
Right.
So I'd entertain a motion to appoint, Mark O'Connell as a second town constable to sub for Tom Glass.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
I have to sign blood up here.
Where's
Put your credit card number.
Let's
He's
talk
gonna
about
give
that
you-
charitable donation.
Who's gonna pass the
Do
basket?
you want to put down an effective date? Would it be today, or are you gonna make it a different?
Reason for that is also there's a registry component of this,
Yeah.
so that,
We'll have to get with Elsa and do that.
Yeah, why don't we, cause I've gotta get a hold of Chris Soniker at Mang, so
Yeah,
why don't
you
we
gotta
make
go
it
through-
effective,
May take a couple days.
I'm thinking make it effective next Monday, the 18th.
18? Sure. Give us time.
Is that all right to amend your motion to make it
Yes.
effective the 18th of July?
That's what I said.
That's what you said, okay. We got it on camera
That's what I heard.
now. All right, well, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
We'll probably be in touch fairly soon.
Soon.
I will be loitering probably tomorrow and the following day, and she will see me here at the office. So, as I mentioned before, I'm here quite often,
Yeah, I
so.
don't know if you've talked to the judge and the court clerk yet, but I was talking to them the other day, and they thought it was a great idea to have a
Wonderful.
backup.
Wonderful,
They're totally in favor.
wonderful.
Yes. Yeah, we'll stop in. Good idea. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time, everyone. I look forward to seeing you often.
Captain Small, I'll set from a
Yeah,
teacher,
Mark,
because we
we'll have to
do,
get you in touch with.
I
both
coordinate all the
fill out.
police training, so we get guys that are looking for,
Um,
We'll get it all
hotel
together.
lodging.
I'll
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
here
I
tomorrow.
don't know if you've gotten any of our guys.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys, of course I'm here.
I'd like to talk to you and set up a better relationship.
I'll be up tomorrow as well,
Like you
so
said,
I'll be
it's
here.
gonna be
Farmer's
sales.
market, I may have to go
Yeah,
to the
okay.
farmer's market,
Well,
you know, I
if
have.
you're gonna make the
supporting
changes,
local, okay?
then I would just as soon recommend you
Just have
guys
to go to the
than
farmer's
anybody else.
market, I need
Yeah,
zucchini.
that's right.
What
Unless someone
what
would-
time will you be doing that?
Yeah, all right, well, let's not
Huh?
force
What time will you be doing
Yeah,
that?
I'm on
Noon
duty.
time, I'll
See
probably
ya.
go to the farmer's market.
If I don't see you beforehand, I'll see you after.
Absolutely, I'll be there, absolutely.
Have a good evening, all.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, guys.
All right, next under old business, the village had asked us to sponsor the bounce house for one of the Fair on the Square Friday nights, and, we talked to Mang Insurance, and they generously donated the money to cover that. So the town will be sponsoring it on July 22nd. Now, on to new business. John Taylor stopped. He's very concerned about having a quorum for the planning board, since everybody seems to be taking vacations now, and the planning board is pretty busy. So what I would like is a motion to approve Patrick Sullivan, not Ryan,
I wondered about that.
to the planning board. We will switch him from the ZBA to the planning board. And that will leave us one opening on the ZBA for now. There's probably gonna be one or two more later in the year, and we're gonna have another planning board opening at the end of the year. So we need to sit down and get a list together and start, coming up with a plan, so we don't get behind the 8 ball again here. But, can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion that we appoint Patrick Sullivan to the planning board.
I'll second that.
What's the term on this?
It's a 7-year term, but he would be filling the balance of Els's term.
And you had 4 years left?
I believe, I'm not 100%, I can.
Just so I wanna make sure that that's part of it.
I can, you want me to go with it?
No, I'm just, in your
I'll
notes
add
to
that
make
in
sure
mine,
that
yes.
it's on.
Okay.
Just make it, the minutes, just to finish the balance of your term.
So discussion,
You can discuss it, but we need to get this because the planning board can't.
I'm
Come
gonna,
up
I mean,
short
I'm not
on,
gonna oppose anybody who
yeah.
wants to be on it. Of course,
Yeah.
I'm grateful to
I
Patrick.
I
Sullivan.
understand you've got your people and.
It's not my people, I mean, there are people who wanna do it and who have asked to do it, and they're super
Well,
qualified.
they haven't asked me.
They've they've asked, John, I know they've asked John.
The only name that planning board passed on to me was Patrick. And in the past, we've always kind of deferred to the ZBA and the planning board
Fill their own
to
holes.
fill their own holes, and if they don't, then we do, but, we try not to force people onto them if they have their own choices. But like I said, we need to get a list together because we're gonna have several vacancies this year. We've got people that wanna retire, and we've got, 2 people that's terms are expiring that don't want to be reappointed.
I'll definitely provide a list, but I want, first of all, thanks, Patrick, for serving, and definitely you have my support. But I want the rest of the councilmen to see from my perspective. I go out encouraging people to volunteer to participate and convince people, and I look like a frickin' idiot because they feel like, yeah, I said I'd do it, and that was 4 months ago. And now, oh, we're gonna have to move somebody from zoning board because we didn't have a quorum for planning board. That's what it looks like from their point of view, and frankly, from my point of view. So I appreciate everybody who serves, but, you know,
If they've talked to the ZBA and the planning board, then it hasn't been passed on to me. And that's why I think we need to probably do an executive session at a
Bring the
future
chairs in.
meeting. And, go over, make a list and, start talking to some people.
You gotta bring the chairman of both boards in.
Yeah,
Okay.
because, we can't keep having gaps. And like I said, it wasn't a big issue until everybody decided to take vacation, and they've got cases coming into the planning board in a couple weeks, and now they're worried that they don't have a quorum to even be able to meet, which isn't fair to the applicants.
Understood.
But your point is duly noted, and we will try to work something out, Matt.
Okay,
Otherwise, I'll have to spike a volleyball at you, but
I'm on your team.
I'm too old to get it over the net anymore. All right, moving on. Lakeside Engineering has
So
put in a
do we
request.
wanna-
Should we vote
Oh.
on that?
We didn't vote, did we? We got to the discussion, we didn't vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, now, moving on. Lakeside Engineering has turned in another bill for basically having the pool plan 60% completed. Al asked me to bring this up for approval. They're waiting for, the person they have kinda looking over the plans to sign off that they are at 60% according to his calculations before they send the check. But,
What part of Lakeside Engineering, what part of the pool are they doing? Are they doing the pool, or are they doing the pool site where it's gonna be?
they're doing the pool design.
Okay.
I mean, I would assume it's, designed as part of the,
So this doesn't take into account the site plan or
Or
anything else?
floodplain development permits and all the other things that are working.
I don't think it, covers any permits. There should be something in the pool design as far as addressing the floodplain issues. I can't tell you, cause I haven't seen any of the plans yet.
Me either.
We can ask that of the pool committee, but, I would hope, since it's in floodplain, that they've taken that into consideration before they sign off on the project.
I hope.
But
What was Al asking us to do?
he was asking us to authorize, payment of $11,600 for the next payment on the, pool design. And that will leave us about, I think, $10,000 to go.
Can I
So
make
is there a
that
motion?
Yeah, I'll make
Yep.
a motion.
Okay, motion by Matt, is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Carried. All right. We've got, the annual agreement with Heart of the Catskills, which we need to sign a contract with them.
Same as last time.
Well, yes and no. Yes, it's the same, but no, it's not what we approved last year. Cause they're trying to bill us for cats again. We've always agreed to pay the $40 for each dog dropped off, and we've always scratched out the $5 for each cat.
Do it again.
Is there a motion authorizing me to scratch out the cats?
You can swear. Yeah.
Okay, is there a motion to, approve the contract?
With that amendment, with that amendment, I'll make that a motion, no cats.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So sign that, and for your information, somewhere in my mess of paperwork here. Egg and Markets did their annual inspection of the shelter on, June 14th, and everything was rated satisfactory, no problems. So they are
Very good.
in compliance with the state Egg and Markets.
It's a wonderful facility.
Okay. Next up, also typed up a resolution that, the CWT is passing around to the towns. Basically, looking to get support for our continued efforts with, EPA filtration, avoidance determination, negotiations. Just kind of showing that the towns are all in support of, making some changes to the way the watershed rules and regulations have been enforced, and,
Could you explain to me the common sense practical solutions quote in there?
Where,
On the therefore be resolved, number one. It seems to me a gray area of concern. That
well, the
needs
common sense
explored.
practical solutions, one of them was, requiring a permit from New York City to replace a septic tank that collapsed.
So these common
So you
sense
have-
practices are gonna be spelled out?
There's a whole list that we have
Right.
turned into Department of Health, EPA, DEC, and New York City.
I just see a lot of wiggle room there.
No, there's a whole list of, items that we addressed, and, they are pretty much addressed in the site agreement for the water supply permit.
Because it
We
says
wanna
so the
get
same
everything-
thing on number 2 about pursue common sense practical solutions.
Yeah, what we're asking is we would like to see the land acquisition program phased out and money be put into other programs.
Well, a practical
They have-
solution is that they have their water filtered. There's a
Well,
practical
yeah.
solution.
That would be the best if we could push it, but
Why not?
we're not gonna get there.
I'm sure not, but
That would be the easiest right. That was some of the suggestions at some of the public hearings they've had, is just make them filter their water.
yep, I was there.
But, another one of the practical common sense things is stream banks that are collapsing into the river and washing silt down in the reservoir are creating a lot more problems with turbidity than buying land up on top of a mountain 7 miles from a stream is ever gonna fix.
Absolutely.
So that's, like I said, if you wanna take this resolution and look it over, we can vote on it next meeting, or however you wanna handle it. We've got,
I've read it, I just wanted, a
We've
comment on those.
yeah, cause, the EPA agreement will be finalized next year, but they're in the process right now of gathering comments from municipalities and involved.
And this same resolution is being passed to all the towns in the county?
Yeah.
Same wording?
Yeah,
I would just soon put it off till next month.
yep, that's fine. Give everybody a chance to look it over, and if you have any questions, like I said, if you have any questions, Molly Oliver, the county can answer them, or you can call me, Bruce Dolph, whoever you can track down, that's no problem. But, we'll vote on that next month. The next item, under new business, I talked to Al, and, I know he's talked to Tom. We're having an issue with student housing popping up all over outside the village limits now. And we kind of foresee some problems that are gonna be coming to a head. So Tom's gonna work on getting us copies of the
I'll have
village
a
law,
package next month.
so we can kind of look at the village regs, what they're doing, and see what we need to do to tailor it to the town. And then, like I said, if we decide to move forward with that, then we also have a constable that we can appoint to do that. Okay, next up, DEP. Is looking to buy another piece of land down on Route 10, owned by Clark family. The biggest issue I have is the parcel that they wanna chop off to sell is where the sewer line crosses from the milk plants up to the Delhi Village wastewater treatment plant. I have some concerns about having a sewer line on city-owned property.
I'm sure the village does also.
I've already talked to Nicole, and we're working on a response letter that we'll be sending out. So if anybody has any comments they would like included in the letter, get
Well,
them to me.
I have concerns that, the rail bed is included in that. That's potential, growth for tourism, and biking and so forth, for our healthy New York.
Yeah,
And by taking that out, maybe we may not be able to use that piece.
that's it, because basically, if you looked under proposed recreational uses following the acquisition, it says none proposed at this time due to the small size and isolation of the parcel.
But that's not,
That's not true.
that's not true.
It's not isolated because the railroad bed goes right down through it.
It's a beautiful trail.
Yeah, so that'll be one of the issues we're gonna address, but anything else anybody thinks of, let me know. And,
I think tourism is big and that pipeline is huge. If we have to replace that pipeline and move it someplace, we may not have the room to do it. Then our industries are.
same thing, if our industries all of a sudden need village water or something run down there, we're gonna run into a